necessarily mean. So again, not a great signature specifically there, but and you look at the reflectivity, and there's absolutely nothing. So that was probably not where it was confirmed. But needless to say, as we head into the afternoon, what we're going to see is these cells that will at times be, we say cyclical all the time. What does that mean? It means it cycles. It at times might not have a tornado on it, or it may have shown through a couple scans to indeed have a tornado on it. It goes back up, it recycles, the storm briefly becomes more benign in nature as far as becoming a mesocyclone, and then it will touch back down. So the point of today is to just be aware, because these will be coming through, especially areas further to the south. And I'll actually zoom out really quick, James, if that's all right, to show some of the warnings here. I think some of these are a little bit more concerning once you get down into central, southern, and southeast Mississippi. You see all those confirmed tornado warning polygons that are back to the west of Hattiesburg, and these will end up tracking up towards Sumter County and eventually towards Pickens, Greene, and Hale. Again, it's a long ways out. These would probably be working their way into Alabama closer to 2:30, 3 o'clock on the current trajectories, but those have looked a little bit more impressive further down the line. But the one that we're on here for, again, was this one that was initially a confirmed tornado over in Mississippi, in Itawamba County, Mississippi, and that moved through Monroe, Mississippi as well. So
let's clarify one thing, Evan. For those that are in Marion County, you might be hearing a siren in Hamilton. You might be hearing a siren in Hackleburg or Winfield or Guin. You are not under a tornado warning. Again, this is a very small polygon. Tornadoes don't affect an entire county. Tornadoes are small, counties are big. Even a big tornado, relatively speaking, is small compared to a county. So there's absolutely no need to warn an entire county. That's what we used to do back in the 70s and 80s. But we went to the polygon system where we just identify the danger zones. And again, this is a very tiny part of Marion County. So again, if you're in Hamilton, Hackleburg, Bear Creek, Winfield, Guin, or Brilliant, you don't need to do anything right now. Yes, absolutely pay attention, but there's no need to take any action. Again, around here in Scottsville, this part of Marion County, that's where the warning is in effect, and the warning goes up into Franklin County. And again, Evan's highlighting Interstate 22 right here. So Marion County here, Franklin County here. This does include Russellville. And again, the signatures are very, very weak at this point. That's not really a classic tornadic signature. And as Evan pointed out, our greatest concern, it's the storms in southeast Mississippi that will be moving into west central Alabama later this afternoon. Those are violent storms down here, and those are the ones that we'll have to watch these carefully. In fact, that's the lead storm right here that's crossing Interstate 22 near Newton, or Interstate 20 near Newton, Mississippi. And again, that'll be moving up into northern Sumter County and ultimately perhaps coming in the general direction of Tuscaloosa. And these other storms are violent storms down here, most likely. We've had tornadoes down, and this is where the conditions are very favorable for very meaningful, violent tornadoes. So again, what you see down here in southeastern Mississippi, these are all moving northeast right up toward west central Alabama. So for those of you in Sumter, Pickens, Tuscaloosa counties, Greene County, understand that these will be coming up pretty quickly. These are moving at a very rapid clip, probably 50 to 60 miles an hour. And they could wind up in the western part of Alabama easily within the next 45 minutes to 1 hour. And again, these are approximate arrival times coming up into the western part of the state. So again, just understand these storms represent our greatest concern coming out of southeastern Mississippi. But having said that, let's go back up to Marion County. And these are storms that are producing heavy amounts of rain, a lot of thunder, a lot of lightning, possibly some small hail. And we should mention, too, for the shoals up here, we have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for the western part of Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin counties. And again, these are severe thunderstorm warnings here for the shoals, not a tornado warning. And again, we've not had any really strong wind reports out of these storms coming into northwest Alabama. We've had some reports of small hail and gusty winds. Quite frankly, the gradient winds seem to be a little stronger here. But there's that one spot where the Weather Service apparently had a spotter report of a tornado. And again, the Weather Service in Memphis handles Monroe County, Mississippi, and as a course of least regret, Weather Service in Birmingham and Huntsville posting warnings for these two counties. We had the exact same thing happen late last night. If you watched this overnight, some of you probably haven't slept at all like us, but if you watched us on the live coverage late last night, early this morning, this basically was the exact same spot. We had one tornado warning in the whole state for round one early this morning, and it was in this exact same spot right here. But let's go back to the velocity display, and again, it was really noisy, and it's still really noisy. We just don't see any evidence of a tornado in here at this point. But again, as we go through this, we want you to respect the polygon and be sheltered. And I know it's inconvenient, but we've talked about this event for days, and I think people are ready. It seems like everybody is kind of on edge, and folks are ready to do the right thing today. So if you're in any of these communities up here in the northwest corner of Marion County, Franklin County, including Russellville, Hodges, Vina, Red Bay, you know the routine. In a site-built home, small room, that's a hall, closet, bathroom, near the center, lowest floor, away from windows. You're going to wear a helmet, bike helmet, perfect, batting helmet, football helmet, motorcycle helmet, and wait until we give you an all clear, and when that happens, you can go on about your business. But this will be a fairly long duration event. Understand the window for severe storms will last a while. Now, in northwest Alabama, the threat should be winding down by 6, 7 o'clock this evening. But the threat for areas to the south and east, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden, that could go on until 9, 10 o'clock tonight, and for East Alabama, could go until midnight. And it's 1:44. So again, that's what we're saying. It's going to be a long duration type event here. But again, you can see the broader situation with that lead storm coming up into the northwest corner of Marion County and the western part of Franklin County. And also there are other warnings back behind that. And no doubt we'll have to watch here, but the better environment for tornadoes, it's down to the south. Those storms down in southeastern Mississippi. And again, if you're in Sumter, Greene, Pickens, you got to watch these things. Evan, it looks like we've had some pretty significant damage with these down in South Mississippi. In fact, I noticed for a couple of these, we had a tornado emergency down there.
Yeah, you don't see those too often, tornado emergencies, and that's when you know that you have a very intense tornado, and of course, over time, we're going to get damage reports on that. If we still have that I-22 cam, we can show that view. It's an algo cam. This is up right near the state line, I believe, as you head out of Alabama and into Mississippi. And again, some creepy looking clouds, but nothing of note there on that algo cam. So if we can get that, we can take it. If not, we'll stay right here. But when you see a tornado emergency, as we did down south of Jackson, Mississippi earlier. So there's your algo cam right there. And again, this is right there close to the state line, and you have what we call creepy looking clouds, but there's nothing there of note that would give really any concern as far as obviously a tornado being down. So we'll keep a close eye on that here. If you're just now kind of getting caught up to speed with the weather, I want to show our tornado watch that is in place for really a huge chunk of the state. Most of the Birmingham DMA with the Huntsville DMA, this goes until 8 o'clock. Now, as James just laid out, our window for severe weather actually goes well beyond 8. Good inflow. You have good updrafts, and we know that the atmospheric winds are such that it will cause these thunderstorms to rotate.
Let's take WEXO 5 real quick. So this is going to be a still shot of Interstate 22. And again, there's no tornado here. Those are scud clouds, low, ragged clouds. And again, this was a still capture from our friends up in Marion County at the EMA. And of course, we had some video of that earlier. But again, this is at mile marker 3, which is right by the state line looking west back into that storm complex along Interstate 22. And again, no tornado here. That's scud clouds. There's no rotation, but I just wanted to show that quickly. And if we can take Riley's stream, he should be on live view yellow rim 7. He's on Interstate 22. And Riley is in the process of moving up toward that part of northwest Alabama where the tornado warning is in effect. Okay, I'm seeing it here. Apparently, they're not seeing it back in the back. There we go. Thank you. So again, Riley Blackwell is in our Storm Chaser vehicle, and we're going to have multiple live streams today. John Brown, the legendary John Brown, he's going to be out today. And again, the object is for us to get a camera on this stuff. We know through social science studies that you tend to take action more quickly if you see a tornado, an actual photograph or a live stream of that. And of course, it's very hard to do here. This is not Oklahoma, this is not Kansas, this is Alabama. We have tornadoes that are rain wrapped. We have hills, we have trees. They're very hard to see. But again, this is, at this point, Riley is not quite in Marion County. He's close. I think he's past Carbon Hill. He's coming up toward Winfield. But I wanted to show a quick shot there. And of course, we'll be watching all of these streams today. So let's go back to the radar. We'll put that behind me. If you're just joining us, it's 1:49, and we have tornado warnings in effect for northwest Alabama, just for a small part of Marion County. I stress, the warning does not include Hamilton. It does not include Winfield. Does not include Guin. Does not include Bear Creek. It does not include Brilliant. It includes basically Scottsville, this northwest corner of the state here, and then the warning is extended up into Franklin County, and the Franklin County warning does include Russellville, Hodges, Vina, and Red Bay. And again, that's US 43 right here going up to Hackleburg and up to Russellville. That's Interstate 22 down here. And let's look at the velocity one more time at this, Evan. And again, you can see evidence of maybe just some very weak rotation up here in Franklin County, but there's just no evidence of a tornado here. And again, on a day like today, sometimes the Weather Service will they'll push that trigger pretty often because of the atmospherics we have today, the conditions that favor tornadoes. Even if maybe the signature is not the best, maybe they got a report from a spotter. But again, at this point, we're just not seeing, I can't specifically point out any tornado here. Could it cycle back up? Yes, absolutely. And again, if you're in the polygon, please respect it. Even though we see no strong signature here, if you're in the polygon, stay sheltered until we can give you an all clear. But again, we have tornado warnings in effect for the northwest corner of Marion County and about the western 2/3 of Franklin County. And again, I want to stress for our friends in Phil Campbell, you're not involved in this. Of course, Hackleburg is here, Phil Campbell is here. These two communities were hit so hard by a violent EF5 tornado, April 27, 2011. A lot of folks here have PTSD, and I don't blame them. But in this case, this broad rotation is not close to you, and you don't need to do anything. Now, that might change later, but at the moment, you're not in a tornado warning polygon here. So let's go back to the reflectivity, and let's put on I want to show the shoals as well. For those that are watching up in here, and we've got a severe thunderstorm warning, it looks like for a decent chunk of Colbert and Lauderdale counties for this storm complex coming in from the west. And the velocities are not looking that impressive, and the hail size not looking that impressive, but still there could be some gusty winds. Quite frankly, gradient winds are probably a bit stronger here, and a chance of some hail as well. So again, if you're in Florence, the Shoals, Sheffield, Tuscumbia, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect here for you. No tornado warning, that's a severe thunderstorm warning. The tornado warning is in effect down here for the western 2/3 of Franklin and the northwestern corner of Marion counties. And again, you can see that line segment is now clearly into that part of the state. And look at the lightning count, Evan, 546 lightning strikes.
That's incredible. And as these come through, people who are scared of thunderstorms, I mean, this is going to be a very loud system here, a lot of instability. So you get these tremendous lightning numbers here, especially right within the core of some of these thunderstorms. And again, there is a hail threat today too. We talk a lot about the tornadoes. Those can be the most impactful. But when you start talking about hail cores up there, those can often create an environment with a lot of lightning strikes. So we'll have to watch that in addition to those gradient winds. We've seen this a whole lot. I'm not sure, James, if you've seen the one down in Tylertown, Mississippi, but that is in southern Mississippi, but that is a large tornado confirmed on the ground. But that's, again, all back to the south and west of where we are right now. And as these continue to move through, we'll have to watch these on the lead edge. So over here in Pickens County, there's nothing of any severity on this, but you start to see these little individual cells, and that bears watching because these ones that form freely out ahead of the line, those have the best tendency to rotate. And as we head into the early part of the afternoon, I think one of the bigger concerns is going to be this tornado threat with this first batch that comes through.
Let's go to WEXO 5. We got some video coming in from Scottsville. This is going to be in the tornado warning polygon right here. So again, this is from north of Scottsville, not too far from Vina. This is really near the Marion-Franklin County line. And again, these folks are in that tornado warning polygon. And again, watching the video here, there's no evidence of a tornado at this particular spot. Again, we've got some low, ragged cloud bases, and you're going to see that. But low, ragged cloud base doesn't mean a tornado. In fact, most of the time, it's not even closely related to a tornado. It's just simply scud clouds. This is another shot from Scottsville and Vina. And again, you can see, again, you might think that's a little suspicious, but I'm not so convinced that that would be a tornado. So again, we're thankful. And as we go through this event today, we want to remind everybody we love your photographs and videos. It is our window to the world. We got a lot of cameras out in the field today, but we can't have cameras everywhere, and everybody's got a phone. But just a reminder, please be safe when you're shooting these videos and sending it back to us. But again, that is from the tornado warning polygon that is up in northwest Alabama. And I will say, let's go back to the radar behind me here. We had a report, Franklin County Fire reported some broad rotation in Vina, which is right here in Franklin County, but no tornado. And again, we've had no reports from Marion County Emergency Management. In fact, again, I spent last Saturday in Marion County with emergency management folks at a big event they had there at Bevel State, and they're good. They're very good at what they do, but they're not reporting any damage, not reporting any tornadoes, not reporting really anything meaningful here other than just some broad rotation, and like you saw in those videos. So again, that storm complex is coming up out of Marion into Franklin counties, and again, Vina is here. We had that report of broad rotation, which is right here, but that's not a tornado signature here. So again, I just don't believe at the moment we have a tornado down. But again, we've got those tornado warnings that are still in effect. Hopefully they will be dropped soon. And again, like we've talked about, our greatest concern is those storms down in southeastern Mississippi. Any storm we have to watch today, but these down here are nasty. And again, we have a confirmed tag here where you see the purple flashing polygons. Those are tornado warnings with a confirmed tornado, a visual or debris being lofted on radar. And we have 1, 2, 3 down here in southeastern Mississippi, and actually another one behind that. And those are headed for West Alabama. So let's look at this lead storm up here, Evan. This is the one that's going to be crossing into northern Sumter and Pickens counties in just a little bit. And again, let's peek at the velocity really quick on this one. And this is going to be coming from the Columbus Air Force Base radar. And the beam is fairly high here. We probably had a better view from Jackson on this one, but again, spotters apparently have seen a tornado there or debris has been lofted. And understand this particular tornado, which is north of Interstate 20, north of Newton, northwest of Meridian, that will be coming into northern Sumter or Pickens counties here pretty soon in 30 to 45 minutes. This is the state line right here. This is Sumter and this is Pickens. So if you're in Emel, up here toward Aliceville or Pickensville, just be aware you could come under a tornado warning. And we're going to have a number of tornado warnings today and tonight, a lot. And there's going to be a lot of things going on here, and we're going to have to bounce back and forth between storms. And we just encourage you to stick with us, and we will look at every storm, but we have to look at all of them. We can't stay focused on one when there are multiple storms and multiple tornadoes down. But Evan is showing the approximate arrival times here. It's 1:57, so in about 40 minutes or so, these will likely be in northern Sumter or Pickens counties. This one storm that is producing a tornado north of Newton, Mississippi, north of Interstate 20. So again, that is really our greatest concern in terms of tornado activity. And again, I would expect to have tornado warnings in effect by probably 2:15 for northern Sumter and parts of Pickens County. So just be ready. No tornado warning now, but I think it's coming. But let's go back to the northwest part of the state. And again, we're watching thunderstorms that are moving through extreme northwest Marion and Franklin counties. And we still have the tornado warnings in effect here. But the signature, it's pretty weak. And again, you can see there might be, well, no, there's not even evidence of anything right here. That's just nothing going on here in terms of tornado activity at this point. So, Evan, I've not heard of any damage. Marion County EMA, no damage, nothing on the cameras. In fact, let's take Riley's live stream real quick if we can. And It looks as if he could be in Winfield. If I had to guess, he's gotten off Interstate 22 and he is in Winfield. That would be the old Highway 78 there, Alabama Highway 5. So that he's in Marion County, but again, he's not in the polygon. But again, obviously, and there's no really tornado on radar, but what broad rotation we had, that's well to the north and west there. So Evan, so far so good.
So far so good, and again, this is more or less, the very beginning of this. We mentioned we came on here a little bit after, 1 o'clock or 1:30, and it's for this very, very small sliver here. And in fact, parts of the polygon, it's not even raining out there. And again, as we go through the day today, there's going to be more of these that we have to follow. And I've had several people asking me questions like, okay, it's starting now. Something to note, we talked about how fast these are moving. They are moving very quickly, most of these between 50 and 60 miles an hour, but the motion is to the northeast. So what does that do to it? Well, even though it looks like this line is not far away, these cells are moving in this direction. So there's not a ton of west to east movement. They're moving from southwest to northeast. That's why our concern is some of those cells that are actually back in central Mississippi, because the trajectory of those will bring them into central Alabama here. We just got an update from Riley. He was in downtown Hamilton there, so he is, I'm going to stop this and I'll zoom into where we just saw his feed from. So he's coming in to the Hamilton area, and came right up I-22. And let's see, pan down here. So he's outside of the polygon and outside of any rain. So Riley right here, and I would imagine they might track a little further to the north and see they've canceled that tornado warning for Marion County just now. So we are free and clear in central Alabama, the Birmingham area, of tornado warnings at the moment. We remind you, we still have a warning going on here in Franklin County. This goes until 2:15, so if they let that ride here, we've got another 15 minutes. That includes Russellville, areas basically to the west of Highway 43, not including Phil Campbell, and some of the heaviest rain here. I'm going to zoom in, and just in this cluster alone, you see these returns here. There could be even some hail within these. That's another thing here today, is that we'll have the possibility for some hail, and I can promise you, driving, as James mentioned, you don't want to do that, because you come across, even if it's not a tornadic cell or one that's producing a tornado or even strong gusty winds, you get these pockets here. We could have some hail just north of Dempsey. We'll have to watch for any reports of hail up in that area. But there's a lot of side effects and byproducts to these cells that are going to be moving through here today. So again, they've canceled the tornado warning for Marion County, so we're free and clear there. And again, a lot of folks, even in Hamilton, as close as that storm looked, it's going to pass off to the north and west, and we'll maintain that tornado warning for Franklin County. And then I think our next big thing to watch here is going to be what is coming out of Mississippi. So some of the images I've seen here on social media showing some of these very large wedge tornadoes, non-rain wrapped, which we don't get those a ton, but in these higher end threats, we'll sometimes get these tornadoes that are not obstructed by rain, but are very strong here. So this is looking down in Mississippi towards Winston County, Noxubee, Lauderdale, Newton, Jasper, and all of this is moving off to the northwest. Again, these cells at about 60 miles an hour, but they're moving, instead of straight west to east towards Livingston. This is cells headed towards Aliceville, northern Sumter County, southern Pickens County, and we will have to watch for that as we move ahead into the afternoon, is how these evolve. They're coming into an area that's untapped. The sun came out this morning, and that's certainly not a good thing when you talk about the atmospheric thermodynamics. It can warm things up. It's more energy for these cells to feed off of. Something else I want to show, I'll switch over to the Birmingham radar really quickly here, is we're getting a cluster of storms here, and that includes around Tuscaloosa. None of these are of any severity. In fact, look at the difference in lightning strikes. Brookwood, Coaling, Moundville. 6 strikes within this whole frame in the last 10 minutes. These are well below severe limits. A lot of this is showers, a few thunderstorms. And you get enough of this calming rain or stabilizing rain. We call this convective contamination. That's a fancy word for, you got rain falling through the atmosphere, and it zaps away some of that energy that these storms could have as availability later. So this could, in turn be a good thing if we continue to see some showers. Again, this extends down to Greensboro. So if you're asking, hey, I'm in Moundville, I'm in Tuscaloosa, none of this is of any severity here. And for the rest of central Alabama, we're still a good ways off. We popped on here because there was a tornado warning in Marion County that has since been canceled. And the big picture here, I tried to plot on where some of our vehicles were. We've got a reporter headed down in Tuscaloosa County. They're headed down 2059, so they're going to be very close to that cell that's going to be coming out of Mississippi and eventually into Sumter County. So we're going to have as many eyes on this as we can for the time being. There is no immediate threat right now from any tornadoes, from any severe thunderstorms in central Alabama. There is still a tornado warning up here in Franklin County, and we've been watching this for a while. This one was labeled as confirmed back in Mississippi, but since then we have seen no evidence of that. I'll switch over just to the velocity here really quickly to check. And again, a lot of lightning. It's very noisy, but again, not much in the way of a concern for rotation within this one. This is going to pass, it looks like, just to the center of this, that is just to the west of Russellville, and this will be headed up into Lauderdale County. Going to cross over Highway 43 here, it looks like, within the next 15, 20, 25 minutes.
Let's make it clear for those in Marion, you're done with a tornado warning. You're done with it. If you're in Scottsville, you're good. The Weather Service has canceled the tornado warning for Northwest Marion. So again, Marion County, you can come out of your safe place. Everything is okay for now. The warning continues in effect up here in Franklin. And again, like Evan has talked about, that's very, very broad rotation here, very broad. That's approaching Highway 24. 24 runs over to Russellville and back over to Moulton, and again, just south of Belgreen right here. But that's not really a tornado signature here. And we've had a lot of reports of broad rotation, which is what we're seeing here on radar. And we're getting a pretty good slice. The radar beam is probably 1,000, 2,000 feet off the ground from the Columbus Air Force Base. It's fairly low, but that's not really a classic tornado signature here. And again, but that broad rotation will be crossing Highway 43, US 43. That's the major north-south US highway in Alabama. Russellville here, that's Highway 24 going back over to Moulton. And again, we'll see. But they're going to keep the warning apparently going for a while longer here. So if you're in the western part of Franklin County, this is the one tornado warning. There's just one right now in the entire state, and it's this one for the western part of Franklin. And again, this does not include Phil Campbell. Phil Campbell is right here on Highway 13. You're not involved in this. This broad rotation will pass north of you. And again, it'll be close to Russellville, and we'll see if this thing can cycle back up. We'll see. And again, as long as you're in the polygon, you stay sheltered. And I know, it's inconvenient, but that's the way it works. And one of the things we're going to try and do today is we're going to try and do better for people that live in manufactured housing, mobile homes. The average lead time for a tornado warning is about 12 to 15 minutes. For some people in a trailer, they need 30 minutes to get to a shelter or some place that can serve as a shelter. And we need to give a little better lead time when we can. Again, there's only so much we can do in physical science, but still, we're going to be cognizant of that today as we go through this event. But again, watching the latest volume scan, it's very, very, very broad rotation that is coming through Franklin County up in northwest Alabama. And we're getting a lot of images that we're watching here. And let's see, and again, we love to look at the images because it often helps to look at a real-world situation. Let's go to WEX 05, and this is some video that is coming out of, I want to say this is Haleyville in Winston County, so they're kind of looking at it from a distance, and again, obviously a pretty good south wind. We have good gradient winds today, but again, that's what it looks like in the northwestern corner of Winston County. And again, this is a view from the Scottsville area in Marion County earlier today. This was about, I'd say, maybe 15, 20 minutes ago, and they were at the time in the tornado warning polygon. You see a lot of scud and low-hanging clouds there, but there's no evidence of a tornado as it came through Marion. And again, we have no reports from Marion County EMA of any damage, which is a very good thing here. That's good. So back to the radar. We're at 207. And the really greater concern, it's these storms that are rolling through southeastern Mississippi. And again, you've probably seen it. We've talked about this for the last, 24 hours. We have a high risk, level 5 out of 5 today, and which means the atmospherics are very, very prime for tornadoes and maybe a few violent long track tornadoes. And these are the ones that could ultimately be the ones we deal with in terms of violent tornadoes this afternoon and tonight. And these are moving rapidly northeast. These will be crossing over into West Alabama. This is Marengo, this is Sumter, Pickens, Sumter, this is Choctaw, Washington counties right here. And let's look at this lead storm. This is the one that is north of Meridian, and that's approaching the Alabama border. And let's look at the velocity. It looks a little less organized. I'd say it looks a lot less organized than it was, which is a good thing. But again, it could cycle right back up, and these are the ones that we have to watch very carefully here. So, and again, Evan, we've had some pretty meaningful damage, it looks like, back in Mississippi with these.
I'm thumbing through some of the reports from Jackson. Debris being lofted. They've confirmed tornadoes on the ground here. And that's the concern, is these things are going to lead ahead of that line that's back to the west. And until they enter an environment where they can no longer, maintain tornadic strength, they're just going to keep on going. So this one looks like it might be cycling. It looked pretty good a little while ago. It had a confirmed tornado signature or polygon on it, I should say. Let me back this up and see if we can see maybe when it looked a little bit better. Probably down closer to Beulah, Mississippi there, where you see a little bit better. And again, this is a good ways away from the radar. So the way the radar works is the further away you get, we're looking higher into the actual storm, the cell itself, so we can't necessarily confirm that rotation is coming all the way to the lower levels of the atmosphere. But this is the one that the National Weather Service in Birmingham is going to watch very closely as we move forward. Some more info from the Jackson office, and again, it looks like we are seeing, again, some lofted debris back into Mississippi, which is a telltale sign. We don't have a radar view from Jackson to see in depth to these, but they certainly look very intense, because notice how they're by themselves. When you hear the word discrete, it sounds fancy. It sounds it just means by itself. It's all alone here, meaning these have nothing to clutter them up. Sometimes you'll get rain, you'll get showers out ahead of them, and that'll block the inflow or disrupt the flow of the cell itself. But so far, these have been able to go unimpeded to this point. And we started this whole...
Let's take WEX 05 real quick. Evan, I can see Jackson's radar through here, and look at this thing. That's nasty looking. This is at Taylorsville, Mississippi.
Yikes.
And again, US 84 is down here. Laurel is right here. And again, that looks like a violent tornado that is down, and it's moving northeast up in the direction of Bay Springs. So I just wanted to show the single sight view coming out of Jackson, and that looks like a pretty violent tornado. And again, looking up in this storm, it's much less organized. The one that's approaching northern Sumter and the one that's approaching southern Pickens. Again, there's evidence of some broad rotation in here, but nothing like what we saw earlier. But clearly the storm of the day at the moment is this one right here at Taylorsville, Mississippi. I would imagine that we've got perhaps a large violent tornado down. In fact, we'll quickly check the correlation coefficient product, and that's differential phase. There's CC right there, and yeah, we got debris being lofted. That's bad. This most likely is a violent tornado, and again, it's come through Taylorsville, Mississippi. Next up is going to be Bay Springs, Mississippi, and obviously our friends in the Hattiesburg Laurel market are covering this, but that storm ultimately is going to wind up in the western part of Alabama, and these could be long-track tornadoes. These could be the ones that stay down for a long time today. So I just wanted to show that, and again, I'll kind of expand it out, and you can see we have the storm I'm talking about right here, Taylorsville, Mississippi. Another one down here at Bassfield, Mississippi. Same thing. That looks violent. The Alabama state line is here. This is Sumter, and this is Choctaw County. So, again, Evan, just looks pretty nasty.
Yeah, some of that stuff I'm looking in the Jackson office, and they're thinking that there's been debris lofted at least 10,000 feet. Getting reports of homes damaged, and it takes time to get these reports in, because right afterwards people slowly come out. But looking at some of these arrival times, and I've calibrated these arrivals, the speed of these storms to be between 50 and 55 miles an hour, because that's about what they're moving. So these will be rough estimates, and I drew them to the state line. So this one south of Philadelphia, Mississippi, coming into northern Sumter County right at about 3 o'clock. These cells, this one just due west of Laurel, Mississippi, this would be at the state line, southern Sumter County, by about 3:30. and then this one even further to the south, closer to 4 o'clock. But again, as long as these stay out ahead and on their own, and there's no contamination, no convective contamination, there's really no reason why they shouldn't be able to hold together. And that's what we'll have to watch for as we go through the day today. So we'll continue to watch these, and I want to stress for anyone who's just now tuning in with us. We'll go to the latest radar scan, and we've got a polygon just over the state line. That is for Lowndes and Noxubee, Mississippi, and this is right butts up to Pickens County here. We'll hop on into that one and see. Again, this looks very noisy from a reflectivity standpoint, but we'll hop in here and maybe down north of Shequalac or south of Macon, there's a little eddy right in here, and I'm going to put a little bit of a lapse on this to show the motion, because in some instances here, these storms have almost been moving completely south to north with a little bit of a easterly motion here. So this is over the last 15 minutes, and this is coming up, I mean, almost even with the highway. This is 45. If you've ever driven to Columbus or over towards West Point, this runs all the way down to the beach. This goes all the way up to Tennessee. But this is moving almost parallel to it. This is going to head up towards Columbus, and eventually this may swing into parts of Pickens County if this does hold together. Again, not a phenomenal signature on this one here, but one that we'll certainly have to watch. Is this a newer one? So at the moment, there are no warnings for Alabama counties, but this is kind of the opener for us, right? We're going to probably have a busy afternoon for folks in Tuscaloosa, in Dora, in West Jefferson, McCalla, Hueytown, even down into central Hale County, into back towards Aliceville. What's coming down out ahead of this is all well below severe limits, which is obviously good to hear. We do have those tornado warnings still extending up into the shoals for Franklin. I believe now Lauderdale County is included. They've extended this. So we'll hop in here and see if there's anything of note. We've been watching this for quite some time, and nothing that really stands out here, but this has been issued to go Colbert County until 3:15. So this continues to move off to the north and to the east towards the shoals, Florence, Killen. Eventually this will cross over the Tennessee River into the northernmost extent of our Alabama counties. So this was the one that initially brought us on the air. It is clear of Marion County. It is clear of anywhere in our DMA at the moment. And I think the next one maybe to watch in the short term is going to be this one down here. It's just south of Macon, Mississippi, Noxubee County, as this is moving off to the northeast.
Let's do mention real quick, Evan. We are cognizant that most people are watching this on YouTube or Facebook, and the TV markets make no sense here. So we're going to do our best to cover the whole state for you. So again, we're going to be bouncing back and forth between a lot of storms today, and we thank you for choosing us. We're honored that you're here. So again, we've got a tornado warning in effect, again, just to the west of Pickens County. But let's go back up to the shoals here. I want to talk about Florence and the shoals very quickly. So Florence, Muscle Shoals, Sheffield, Tuscumbia in the polygon here. And this is based on this thunderstorm complex that is coming out of Franklin County. So again, for those of you in Florence, around the campus of the University of North Alabama, Sheffield, Tuscumbia, Muscle Shoals, Killen, this includes Lexington. Rogersville is basically on the edge of the polygon here. So everybody here needs to be sheltered. And again, we're not seeing a really strong signature on radar. We're not. But based on the atmospherics we have today, the Weather Service in Huntsville believes the right thing to do is to extend out the warning based on some reports of broad rotation. So we have those of you in Colbert, Lauderdale, the Shoals. Now is the time to be sheltered. And if anybody in the back, if you guys can maybe pull up an algo camera that's up in here, we could take. In fact, we do have the camera at McFarland Park, Evan, if you could pull that up in the Barron system. It's in the evening set. We've got a live camera at McFarland Park on the shore of the Tennessee River up and through here. And we'll take a look at it from that particular camera. There's your tornado watch, by the way. And again, this is a PDS tornado watch. PDS means particularly dangerous situation. This is a day where we could see some potentially long-track violent tornadoes in through here. Thank you. So this is McFarland Park in Florence. We're looking south. This is the O'Neill Bridge crossing the Tennessee River. And again, obviously, it's just raining. There's a lot of rain in the shoals right now. but the Weather Service believes there's a chance there could be a spin-up tornado involved in the segment coming up into Florence. So I just wanted to, again, give you a live look at this, and we'll come back and visit this again. But this is on the north shore of the Tennessee River in Florence at McFarland Park looking south, and we're not going to see much. Again, this is a day where it's going to be tough to show tornadoes because most of them will be rain-wrapped, and this is nothing new. This is the way it works here. So let's go back to the radar, and again, we will show you what it looks like with that tornado warning polygon. Again, you can see maybe some large hail falling down here just to the west of Littleville. And again, large hail, a definite possibility in through here. But let's go to the velocity and let's see if we can identify any spot where there could be a tornado. And again, we're just having a hard time finding that. And if we can go to maybe high top and give it a different view, just to look at a different angle, it's going to be a little farther away, but we'll take a look at the angle coming in from the high top radar in northeast Alabama. And again, this shows a little better evidence of broad circulation right in through here, coming up toward the shoals. Again, right here. Again, this is not, by the way, the Bear Creek in Marion County. This is the Bear Creek that's in Colbert County. So again, we're seeing evidence of some rotation right in through here. Again, the shoals here, you cross the river. This is Florence right here. Killen is up here on US 72. Lexington is up here. So with that, and again, this is broad. It's not the most classic tornadic circulation, but still, with that being the case, on a day like today with a high risk involved, the right thing to do is to be sheltered. So small room, lowest floor, near the center, no windows. Nobody should be in a mobile home or a trailer. You need to be sheltered. No cars, and that's the other thing. We don't want anybody driving out here anywhere around the shoals until this segment passes. So again, broad rotation, not a classic tornado signature, but this could tighten up at any time on a day like today. And a tornado warning is in effect for Lauderdale and Colbert, including the shoals. So let's go back to our southern storm, the one that is approaching Pickens County from Mississippi. And again, we'll bounce right back up here. This is going to be a day where we're going to have to go from storm to storm. We're going to be bouncing from storm A to storm B to storm C. Again, we've got fairly disorganized looking thunderstorms coming into, about to come into Pickens County here. Again, this is Pickens, this is Lamar. This is Lowndes County, Mississippi. Columbus is right here. Let's look at the velocity on this, and we'll see if we can identify any specific spot. And yeah, it's right there. So that's what they're warning for, the possible tornado at Macon along US Highway 45. And again, this is moving generally in a northeasterly direction like this. And if that continues on that track, that could wind up in Pickens County. Again, this is Pickens County right here, and then ultimately Lamar County. So again, evidence showing the potential arrival time up here in Pickens County at 2:49. Might be sooner than that. These things are screaming along at a very, very fast pace. So again, we're watching all of these carefully. And our friend John DeBlock down at the Weather Service, he's saying it looks like the Lauderdale-Kemper storm is recycling. And again, this would be what you see right here. And again, this is Scuba, Mississippi. This is Sumter County, Alabama. Livingston, York, Gainesville, Tombigbee River, Interstate 5920, US Highway 11. And again, the possibility of a tornado here, and that's going to be crossing over into Sumter. So I will tell you, this could be a day where we might have 4 tornadoes or more down at the same time. And trying to tell a coherent story can be really hard. There's not a book, there's not a manual on how to handle 4 or 5 strong violent tornadoes at the same time. But we will do the best we can do and try and give each one of these equal time as we go through the afternoon and tonight. But just, you'll need to pay really close attention and kind of stay focused to keep up with the multiple tornadoes. So again, this particular rotation could be entering the northern part of Sumter County, north of York and Livingston, in about 15 minutes or so. So be aware of that. Let's go back up to the northern circulation, the circulation that's north of there. And again, this one right here at Macon, Mississippi, and it's the same thing. That's moving northeast. That could wind up in Pickens County. This is Pickens County, Alabama right here. That's US 82 here. This is Reform. This is Gordo. This is Carrollton. That's the county seat. And again, that particular rotation could wind up crossing into Pickens. So it's very conceivable here in a matter of minutes, we're going to have tornado warnings in effect for both Pickens and northern Sumter counties for 2 distinct rotations coming out of eastern Mississippi. So let's bounce back up to the shoals. Evan's going to have, his fingers will be worn out by the time we get through this thing tonight. So again, this is the other one, and we'll go to the high top radar and take a look at that because that's giving us the better angle of the rotation here. And this is fairly broad, but again, it's right on top of the shoals right now. And what I would like, and again, the camera at McFarland Park is just right here. So let's, if we can, Evan, let's go back to our McFarland Park camera and we'll take a look at what's going on here to see if we see any evidence of strong winds, tornadic activity, rotation. And again, this is Alabama. This is what it looks like here. If there's a tornado here, it's going to be awfully hard to see. But again, just to get your bearings straight, that's the O'Neill Bridge crossing the Tennessee River. You've got Florence on the north side of the river, Muscle Shoals to the south. And again, we just can't see much. Obviously, we got some lightning strikes here. But again, you need to stay sheltered if you're in the shoals until we give you an all clear. And that we have, it's broad. It's not the most classic tornado signature. It doesn't look like the ones we're seeing down in eastern Mississippi, but still, this is a storm that you want to take seriously. And that's the one thing we want to encourage folks to do today is take these things seriously. Every time you're in a tornado warning polygon based on the atmospherics today. So let's go back to the radar. And again, we're going to bounce back and forth between some of the storms today. So again, there's your broad rotation right on top of the shoals. Tornado warning in effect, Lauderdale and Colbert counties. It's basically out of Franklin County. We'll give Franklin County an all clear from this. So let's go back down to our two rotations in Mississippi. And again, these are knocking on the door. I mean, they're knocking on the door big time. We'll go to the Columbus Air Force Base radar. And again, that looks pretty nasty right there. This one that's northeast of Macon, Mississippi, that's very strong evidence of a tornado. And that will be moving over into the vicinity of Pickens County here. This is Pickensville. This is the Tombigbee River right here. And that will continue moving to the northeast up toward Reform on US Highway 82. So just a heads up, if you're in places like Pickensville, Ethelsville, Coalfire, Reform, just be aware that this circulation could be affecting you. And it's got more of a northward component of motion like Evan is drawing here, but he's got it coming into Pickens County at about 2:51. That's an approximate arrival time. This is US 82 right here. This might be coming up to a point where US 82 crosses into Lowndes County, Mississippi, and of course that's going to keep going into Sumter County. So again, if you're in Millport, anywhere in Lamar County, be very well aware of this. Lamar County here, Pickens County here, and that's a very meaningful tornadic circulation right there. So let's, all right, we got an algo camera real quick. We'll take a look at that. And again, there's nothing going on at this point, and not quite sure where that would be. That's probably somewhere around Reform or Gordo. Right, US 82 is a long road. Again, that's in, all right, that's probably going to be from Reform. So again, that's a Reform camera. And we have a sky cam at Reform, but let's go back to the radar. And again, we're going to watch this other circulation here and this circulation here. This is the one we just talked about, and this is the second one down here. That'll be coming up on Sumter County. So we've got two distinct circulations in eastern Mississippi, one northeast of Macon, one to the southwest of Scuba. And the southern circulation coming up into northern Sumter County. This will be north of York and Livingston. This circulation coming up into Pickens County, probably up in the northwestern corner of the county. But both of those are showing strong signs of being a tornado at this point. We don't have the confirmed tags at this point, but again, they're in fairly rural areas. They're probably rain-wrapped and they're hard to see. So potential tornado 1 near Macon, potential tornado number 2 southwest of Scuba. And if you're in Pickens or Sumter, just a big heads up, Evan. It's going to be a busy afternoon.
Yeah, it is indeed. And what's interesting is the motion of these. So I've been trying to kind of bounce around with the speed. I've got our time of arrival calibrated to about 55 miles an hour. So that should hold pretty accurate as far as the timing. The interesting part is some of these are moving very much in a northerly direction versus a northeast. So this one is moving almost parallel to US 45 over in Mississippi. And if you've ever driven through there, if you try to get to the beach from Starkville or Columbus, that's a long track. So that's where it's headed right now. This will probably clip extreme northwestern Pickens County if it does. This one further south, coming just to the south of Scuba, Mississippi. This is more or less moving in a classic northeasterly direction. So tracking these, you look at them on radar, and they're not all going to be moving in the exact same direction. So let's do some TOAs on these. And this one into central Sumter County here, before 3 o'clock. And this is going to be eventually moving into perhaps Greene County. And then even further along, we'd be looking at I-20. So we'll have to see some of our people in the field where this would be headed. And then the one that's near Macon, Mississippi, a little bit harder to track this one because this is moving in such a northerly fashion, almost kind of parallel to the line. This would be coming into extreme northwestern Pickens County and perhaps southern, just to the south of Millport there in Lamar County over the next little while. So we're about to enter, I think, a much more active window here. Again, I think right around 3 o'clock is when it either clips parts of Pickens County here or it's in extreme southwestern Lamar counties. Either way, we're probably here within the next 30 minutes going to start to see things get much more active in western Alabama. For those who have asked questions, and I know there's a lot of them, how the rest of the state is doing. It's very quiet as you get closer to I-65. This is going to be a stretch here where much of central, eastern Alabama, East Alabama, we could be looking at some sunshine for the next several hours. And it could be misleading because of what's coming later. So just if you're going to be out and about today, especially, I was talking to somebody who's up there in Collinsville, just to the north of Center there in Cherokee County, and they said, I have to get out and about, run errands. Someone had to take their pet to the vet. And these are all things that we all do on a daily basis. There are things that you go about and get done. If you can limit those today, that's great. East Alabama, your threat's coming later in the day. This is going to be more of a now for West Alabama, and for those along I-65, we got a couple of hours, and there's a cluster of showers, a few thunderstorms that are approaching I-65. I want to stress these because you'll hear thunder, you'll see lightning, and people say, hey, what about me? I live in Jasper, and it's thundering, or I live over in Brookwood, or over in Moundville, it's been thundering lightning. All of this stuff ahead of the line is just rain, a few thunderstorms. There's nothing of severity with it, and in some sort of a positive spin, sometimes getting this rain ahead of the line can take a little bit of that zap, that energy out of the atmosphere. So we'll see if that helps things. But again, our focus will be on these cells that are back near the state line, one just to the north of Macon, Mississippi. We try to follow the chats here. And certainly the history of the stuff that's coming out of Mississippi is pretty strong. We've been looking at these for the last hour or so, and these have had some good signatures, good debris signatures on them. And we'll be watching this one coming out of just to the south of Scuba. This is in Kemper County, Mississippi, and this will be the first one up for Sumter County. And again, this will probably get there at just before the top of the hour, the way this is moving. And these are moving fast, 55, 60 miles an hour. So you don't want to be, waiting to the last second. James mentioned lead times. Birmingham is phenomenal with lead times. It's one of the better offices in the country for that. So they get good lead times. But when these are moving at 60 miles an hour, I mean, they'll get on you quickly here. And this will be moving, again, into a fairly rural part of Sumter County here within the next 20, 25 minutes. And that will be one to watch.
Let's go back up to the Shoals real quick. That's a pretty big population center where a lot of folks are obviously concerned. So the tornado warning again for Franklin has been canceled. Let's look at the high top radar. We'll check the velocity display and we'll see what this looks like. And again, this is your rotation right here. And again, this is US Highway 72 right here. Green Hill is here. Brooks High School is right here. Brooks Elementary School is right here. This is Killen. And again, the circulation pretty close to Brooks High School. And again, that's going to come up to the northeast, up in the direction of Lexington up here. Again, this is US Highway 72. So even though it's fairly broad, we've had no reports of damage at this point. We encourage those of you from Killen back up to Lexington to stay sheltered. We can pretty much give an all clear now to Florence, Sheffield, Tuscumbia, Muscle Shoals, and that the broad rotation is now northeast of the Quad Cities there. And again, coming up, it's very close to Killen right here. And again, that'll be coming up toward Lexington. So a tornado warning in effect now for the eastern half of Lauderdale County. This is up in northwest Alabama. A lot of folks are concerned with, obviously, about the Shoals and being a population center. The good news, we have had no reports of any damage here. And again, if we were to have damage, I think I would know about that by now. The Weather Service said with no reports. I've had no reports. And again, it just looks like it's a broad circulation, not necessarily a tornado. But understand, on a day like today, it could come down at any time. And again, you can see Lexington up here at about 2:49. So from Killen to Lexington, up here in Lauderdale County, you want to be sheltered. And this should be over into Tennessee really by 250. It's moving pretty fast. This thing is really moving very rapidly here today. So again, just wanted to show that, and that's our circulation up in the far northwestern part of the state. So let's look at a big picture. Let's kind of do a reset, Evan. People are, again, for those of you in Anniston, Gadsden, they're saying you're ignoring us. Well, we're not, because there's nothing happening here. Nothing happening on the eastern side of the state. Everything is west of I-65. And we have showers and thunderstorms approaching Birmingham. And again, this is just some disorganized convection here. There's nothing severe going on here. We have thunderstorms in parts of Bibb, down into parts of Hale and Perry counties. Again, no sign of any severe issues here. What you see in Fayette County, Marion County right now, Walker County, Winston, nothing severe. And here's our tornado warning now for northern Sumter. So this, what the Weather Service in Birmingham is doing, they posted a tornado warning in effect now for northern Sumter. This is Alabama Highway 17 right here. This is the main north-south road through Sumter County. Geiger and Emell are along here. This is all north of York and Livingston. We want to stress this polygon does not include York, does not include Livingston, does not include the campus of the University of West Alabama. This is for the northern part of Sumter County. And again, the Tombigbee River represents the border here. And once you cross out of northern Sumter, this is Greene County here. And again, if this thing, let me just say, in fact, let's look at Tuscaloosa. I want to see this storm in relationship to Tuscaloosa. Just kind of show you what happens here. If this thing stays together, you can see it might be pretty close to Tuscaloosa. It's about 56 miles here. And I've been doing this a long time, and we've had so many storms that have been close to Scuba, Mississippi, that would come through northern Sumter, come through northern Greene, and wind up in the city of Tuscaloosa. So you've got about probably 1 hour before it arrives in Tuscaloosa. But I just wanted to show that. But let's look at our velocity display on this thing. And again, this is one of these spots where the radar beam is going to be pretty high. The radar beam is going to be several thousand feet above the surface. So the velocity display we're going to see here would represent some pretty high altitude stuff, not necessarily low level sampling here. But again, we've still got evidence of circulation right in through here, right down Highway 45. And that's going to cross the state line. This is the state line. That's Alabama Highway 17 right here. The town of Geiger is right here. The town of Boyd is right down in through here. So just be aware, northern Sumter, you got a tornado warning. And these are the storms that could really produce some problems here. And ultimately, if it stays down, if there's anything down, it's going to wind up affecting parts of northern Greene and perhaps ultimately Tuscaloosa County. Evan, we've seen that track, goodness, countless times.
Yeah, and I think that some of the things we look for if a track's going to continue the way it is what's to the south of it. What could possibly impede this cell from moving continuously in that direction? This one's moving pretty solidly to the northeast, about 50, 55, as much as 60 miles an hour. And being 55 miles from Tuscaloosa, that would put it there within the hour here. But again, there's really nothing to the south to impede that, so we'll have to watch. This has cycled a couple times. It weakened a good bit back just to the south and west of DeKalb, Mississippi, there in Kemper County. It has since tightened up at times. I think as of now, the latest scan is not as impressive, but there's something there, and that certainly bears watching. And we're looking at the Columbus radar here, so that's well off to the north. So what we're seeing is the wind profiles that are a little bit higher in the atmosphere, right? So we're not seeing to the base of the cloud or what is in the lowest part of this particular storm. I've been watching the chatter of this from the Jackson office, and they have noted that the tightening of circulation, tight, broad. And that could be a tough thing to track, and they'll probably keep the warnings on this because it does cycle. Have not seen any images of this, but with how it looks on radar, there's definitely some rain out in front of it here. So this moments from moving into Sumter County, and as it gets closer to the Birmingham radar, we'll eventually get a better look at it. But this is in that almost no man's land here. When you get down north of Meridian, but south of Columbus, you get well south and west of Birmingham, and it's kind of a dead zone for radars, and it makes it hard to see. So there could be a better circulation in there, and it certainly bears watching. I want to jump up to this other one we were watching that had the potential to come up into Pickens or Lamar County. I think there's been some talk about that as well, that it does not
that one fizzled.
Yeah,
it totally fizzled out.
So that's good. That's good news.
Hey, Yeah, that is very good news. So again, want to, let's see, quickly go to WEX 05. And this is some of the hail that is falling up in the shoals around Tuscumbia, Florence, with that storm. And this is some gradient wind damage that occurred. We've got some big tree limbs that have come down. And this is, I want to say, this is down in Childersburg. This is not near any thunderstorm that is gradient wind damage. And we've had a lot of that today. But again, so far, we want to stress here, we've heard of no tornado damage in Alabama as of 2:38. I'm afraid that's going to change, but as of 2:38, we're okay. We've had several tornado warnings so far. We've had the warning that came for the storm that came up through Franklin, that came up toward the shoals. And again, so far, no damage. We've had a lot of hail reports from that. So let's go back to the radar here. And again, what you're looking at here, this is the storm complex that is northeast of Florence. And again, where you see the shades of purple, we have hail falling. We'll check the velocity display on this. And again, the circulation is really weakened. Again, it's a little to the east of Killen. This is very broad. That's not a tornado signature right here. So again, at the moment, it looks like the main concern with the storm up here in Lauderdale and Colbert, that's simply hail, torrential amounts of rain. We've had some reports of flooding up in through here. Keep in mind, parts of northwest Alabama had some huge rains with round one this morning, and that heavy rain continues. And again, flooding, some small hail, and again, it looks like most of the hailstones are under 1 inch in diameter and very, very broad rotation, but there's no strong evidence of a tornado at this point. But still, as long as the polygon is up, you respect the polygon and you stay sheltered. So again, for those of you that are in eastern Lauderdale County, east of Florence, stay sheltered until we give you an all clear until that polygon goes away. So that's our storm up in northwest Alabama. Let's go down to Sumter County. The other tornado warning in effect is for northern Sumter. And again, this is the storm right here. And again, that's crossing the state line. So let's take a look at the velocity display. This will be coming off the Columbus Air Force Base radar. And again, this is a spot where we're going to have different radar views of this, but the radar beam is going to be over 5,000 feet off the ground. We don't get a good low-level slice down in through here. For the fun of it, let's look at Birmingham and just see by chance what it looks like. The beam is going to be higher. And again, there's evidence of circulation here up in the mesocyclone, way up in the thunderstorm, but down at the surface, it's just kind of hard to gauge at this point. So let's go back to Columbus. And again, the good news, the northern circulation of here is kind of fizzled out, but this one is still hanging in there. So tornado warning in effect for northern Sumter. Again, we stress this does not include Livingston or York. It includes the northern part of Sumter County. And again, you've got the town of Geiger here. That's Alabama Highway 17. The town of Gainesville here on the Tom Bigby. And if it holds together, the Weather Service might consider a tornado warning for northern Greene for areas north of Interstate 5920. And if it holds together there, next up would be Tuscaloosa. So again, Tuscaloosa, you're about an hour away from this affecting you if it affects you at all. But again, the atmospherics favor a few long-track tornadoes today. So it's very possible we might get a tornado down in eastern Mississippi and it stays down all the way to Tuscaloosa or even Birmingham. I'm not saying that's going to happen in this case, but it's just a possibility. So let's look at our northern circulation up here, the one that is located to the west of Pickens County. And again, it's still there. Again, it's located right here. This is south of Columbus, Mississippi. Ethelsville, Alabama is here. That's the state line. And again, that's moving northeast, and that will likely clip the far northwest part of Pickens County. And if that continues on that track, that'll move up into Lamar County. But there's no formal warning at this point. And I tell you what, if you can pull up our Reform Elementary Skycam, Evan, just want to kind of start getting that in view here. This is at Reform Elementary School. And again, obviously, there's nothing happening there at this point. But if that thing holds together, we might get a view to the west and have a chance of seeing something. But most of these tornadoes, it looks like today, are going to be rain-wrapped where we are. So just be aware of that. So again, potential circulation right here across the state line. And again, US 82 is right here. Coal Fire, Ethelsville, right in through here. Coal Fire here, Ethelsville here. That'll keep moving up toward Lamar if that thing holds together. So that's our northern circulation. Let's go back down to the southern circulation that's coming into northern Sumter. And again, right in through here. Tom Bigby River, Alabama 17, Geiger here. And again, Evan, any reports out of this thing in Mississippi so far?
I think there was a couple reports of debris being lofted back before it cycled down, and that was back when it was to the south and east of DeKalb. There's so much going on in the Jackson chat, I can't scroll back up and find it, but there was a potential reports of, maybe I can find the debris signature if I back the radar up some, but this has been one of those in Mississippi that has looked impressive over the last hour plus. So if we back this up, I'll switch over to our debris signature here and see if anything pops up. And once again, we're looking pretty far away at this as it moves through Mississippi. And what this product is doing here is it's scanning, and anything that's not a hydrometeor, anything that's not supposed to be there, is going to show up in that different color, and tough to tell from that view if there was anything of note there. But I did see some reports in chat that there was some debris being lofted further back to the west as it moved through parts of Kemper County. So again, this is going to move. The circulation's about to move into Sumter County here, and again, I think the main thoroughfare James mentioned and made note to was Highway 17 that's going to come down right through Geiger. And Geiger's probably going to be the closest one to this. So again, there's your circulation potential. There is Highway 30. Here is Highway 17. And if you're in Sumterville, you're not in this. Epps, you're not in this. And right now, there is nothing yet for Greene County, but that would be next up here as we move forward over the next hour or so. This is moving at 50 miles an hour off to the north and east. So these will come up on you pretty quickly. And this is kind of your heads up if you're in West Alabama. Things are really about to get going. We talked earlier about why we came on the air initially was that little sliver up in Marion County that, again, left that part of the state unscathed. But the next little while with these cells coming into West Alabama, that's when I think this is going to get a little bit more interesting. I'll hop up and try to do a time of arrival on this. This one's a harder one to track because it's just a odd motion here. Its primary motion is honestly off kind of to the north, but this would come up on Highway 82 by the next 10 minutes or so, and then eventually into southern Lamar County. That would be near the Melbourne area, extreme southwest Lamar County. So we'll have to keep watching this. This one's falling apart, falling apart, coming back. So no confirmation on this one yet of anything being on the ground. But we're going to watch something else too to note. And I know it's not the highest threat today, but every one of these is going to carry a hail threat with it. Look at some of these reflectivity values that we saw up in the shoals, and where you see those tighter concentrations of pinks or really, really dark reds, those could be hail cores. So just in addition to everything else, you have that to worry about, those outflow winds. But again, this one not looking overly threatening here. This will miss Ethelesville, I think, a little bit to the west, and this will head up towards 96 in Alabama, just to the west of Millport if it continues on its current trajectory. So lots happening.
And look at Wexo 5. Look who's here.
What do we got?
Ginger
Oh
Z,
boy.
ABC chief meteorologist. Dennis, did you give her that hat? Maybe she did. For those that don't know, Ginger's the chief meteorologist for ABC News, and Ginger's a longtime friend. She interned here way back in 2000. We're very close, and we communicate often. I knew she was coming, and she is here working the storm for ABC. But always good to see Ginger. We're in the gears. So back to the radar. Again, we've got business to take care of. We've got northern Sumter County under a tornado warning. And again, we're watching some of the videos and the cameras here, and it's just hard to see anything. It really is. Let's go look at our velocity display. And again, we've got evidence of broad rotation right here, and maybe tighter circulation. And that's about to cross Alabama Highway 17, and you got to stay sheltered. And again, in rural parts of Alabama, we have so many people that live in manufactured housing, mobile homes, trailers. Great place to live, affordable, wonderful, but you can't stay there during a tornado warning. If you're in a tornado warning polygon, you've got to get out. There is no safe place in a mobile home during a tornado warning. And you've got to go to a community shelter or a business that's open 24/7. You need transportation to get there. And hopefully, the minute you hear the tornado warning, then you go right to that shelter. So again, no cars. Nobody should be driving up Highway 17 right now north of York and Livingston until this thing passes through there. A car can be thrown around like a toy, and we have many tornado-related deaths from people in cars, and you can't be in a car. So things to think about. And again, if you're in a site-built home in your safe place, you need to wear a helmet. And I think people have gotten the message. We've seen so many pictures from the big box retailers where they've sold out of helmets, which is great. They've sold out of weather radios. People have really prepped for this one. The last time we had a high-risk day was March 25th of 2021. And on that day, we had 10 tornadoes, and we had 3 long-track EF3 tornadoes. And that was a rough day. We had 6 fatalities that day. 6 people lost their life. And the goal of what we do here, it's to mitigate loss of life. That's what we do. Everything we do here, it's to mitigate loss of life. And we want to get through this day without anybody losing their life today. So if you're in these polygons, today is a day to really take them seriously. You should take every one of them seriously. It's respect the polygon, but especially today. So what could be a tornado is crossing Highway 17. And again, as we get closer to the Shelby County Airport radar site, we'll get a lower slice of this storm. And again, this will be coming out into northern Greene County, and the Weather Service will make a decision soon on issuing a tornado warning for northern Greene. This is going to be for areas north of Utah if they do that. And again, that's Highway 14. Highway 14 runs from Utah, which is down here, right there, up to Aliceville. And it would be crossing Highway 14, coming out into southwest Tuscaloosa County around Ralph, and then moving right up toward the city of Tuscaloosa. And we hope that it just fizzles out. But on a day like today, we don't expect a lot of fizzling out. Atmospherics favor some tornadoes that might stay down for a long time. So northern Sumter County. But quickly, let's go back up to Lauderdale. I think we can give an all clear up here in that circulation should be in Tennessee, and that is the case. So again, the tornado warning is no more for Lauderdale. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect now for parts of Lauderdale, Limestone, northern Lawrence up here in the Tennessee Valley. I just wanted to show that that is totally gone now. So if you were sheltered in places like Killen or Lexington, come out of the shelter. Of course, always be weather aware, pay close attention here, but there are no active tornado warnings. So again, a severe thunderstorm warning now for eastern Lauderdale, for western Limestone. That does include Athens. And there's some pretty good size hail in here. I think that's the main issue. It's hail with this particular thunderstorm complex up here. That's US Highway 72 right here, Rogersville, Center Star, Killen. Again, large hail, gusty winds, and some flooding, tremendous amounts of rain. The main concern might be flooding out of all the hazards up here. So I just wanted to mention the tornado warning is off the board. So we're down to 1, Evan, in the whole state. 1 tornado warning. 1.
Yep, that's great, and I really hope that trend continues. I am concerned that it will not as we look back here. We have some confirmed tornado polygons that are approaching Meridian. If you know anything about Meridian, you go down I-20 far enough, past Tuscaloosa, past Utah, and you find yourself in Meridian, Mississippi. And just look at these lined up here back to the west. And I'm not trying to get too far out ahead of things, but this is what I think our afternoon is going to be focused on, is what's coming out of Mississippi. And based off of everything in the Jackson office, these are packing a punch, and we'll have to watch these. Let me draw some potential time of arrivals here. And again, this is a rough estimate. Most of these are moving between about 50, 55, as I've seen as fast as 60 miles an hour today. And so, movement here into the Alabama state line, about 3:30 from this cell in Meridian. Back here towards Bay Springs, this one has been a confirmed tornado. I've seen a lot of chatter about that. A little bit closer to 4 o'clock here, but this is what's next up, and we'll certainly have to watch how this evolves once it moves into the environment that is in central Alabama. There's one more down here south of Collins, Mississippi, and this one's even further out. This could be coming into southern Sumter County after 4 p.m. So a lot still happening back to the west. We have time to watch these evolve, but these have absolutely been reporting or producing reports, that is strong damage reports all through Mississippi. We have a new tornado warning now that they have extended that, James, into Pickens, it looks like, and northern Greene County. This will go till 3:45 for that same warning we just talked about.
Again, this is the trajectory. If it continues on that path, that'll take it up into Tuscaloosa. So you can pop me on the key wall here. Thank you, Dennis. This is the Sipsey River right here. That separates Pickens County from Greene County. We got a possible tornado that's about to cross the Tombigbee. This is the Tombigbee right here. The Sipsey runs into the Tombigbee here. And that'll be coming up into northern Greene. I want to stress this is for extreme northern Greene. This does not include Utah, does not include Forkland, does not include Bolagie. This includes the northern part of Greene County. The community of West Greene is right here. Benevola, which is in Pickens County on the Sipsey, is up here. Aliceville is not, and again, when you're looking at Pickens County, Carrollton, not in the Polygon, not Reform, not Gordo, you're not in this. This includes northern Greene and southern Pickens, the areas near the Sipsey River. And that circulation will be coming up in through here. So again, if you're in any, and we certainly don't advise driving on Highway 14. That's the route from Utah to Aliceville. Nobody driving on Highway 14. And if you're in any of these communities, you need to be sheltered. And again, we have a very large mobile home population in this particular part of the state. And this is when now you need to go to your shelter. Now, don't wait, now. In that this particular tornado signature right here looks better with each volume scan. And you need, if you don't have a shelter to go to a business, a gas station, some site-built home that a friend has.